If you want to learn about the rarest and most expensive Spider-Man figures, be sure to watch the video. Well, hello there, Spider-Dash here. I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this video, and if you're a Spider-Man fan, it's almost a fact that you have a figure of Spider-Man, and who could help it? Since its creation, Spider-Man had a ton of figures, and is the Marvel character that sells more merchandise. Spider-Man even sells more merchandise than the Avengers and the Justice League combined. So, having that in mind, it begs the question, which are the most rare Spider-Man figures? And how much will you have to pay to own one of these figures? That's why today, we'll be looking at the action figure Spider-Man Iceberg. And before starting the video, give me a like, be sure to click the subscribe button, and leave in the comments which one of these figures would you like to have. Also, I have to give a huge thanks to the YouTube user Dave R for giving me this idea. If you're watching this, thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and with that out of the way, let's begin! Tier 1. Clear Skies. Insomniac's Spider-Man Lego. The new version of Spider-Man made by Insomniac has a lot of collectibles by now. One of them is a Marvel Legends figure that when it was released, it was worth $20, but now it will cost you around $80 and $100. However, the most expensive figure from Insomniac's Spider-Man is the tiniest. Yes, the LEGO PS4 Spider-Man. It was an exclusive of the San Diego Comic-Con 2019. If you want this figure nowadays, you will have to pay around $600 without the package. If you want this figure inside the box, it's going to be almost twice as much. Marvel Legends Pizza Spidey. Hasbro acquired the Marvel license from Toy Biz in the early 2000s and has been making Spider-Man figures for quite some time by now. And you can really see the drop in quality. In 2015, Hasbro released figures for the 80th anniversary of Marvel figures. One of the figures that they released was the Pizza Spidey, considered one of the best Spider-Man figures of all time. When it was released, the price was the standard Marvel Legends, around $20. However, if you want to buy the Pizza Spidey these days, you'll have to pay around $100. And its price is only going up. Scuba Armor Spider-Man. As I previously mentioned, Hasbro has been releasing some Spider-Man figures over the years. One of them is the Scuba Armor Spider-Man. This particular figure is considered a meme amongst collectors. However, if you are a true Spider-Man collector, you need to have this figure in your collection, as I do. This is the perfect time to show you my Spider-Man collection really quick. Try to see if you spot any of the figures that will appear throughout the iceberg. This is not my entire collection, but it's all that I can show you. Anyway, I digress. If you want the Scuba Armor Spider-Man, you won't need to pay much money despite being a figure from 2010. It is worth around $20 even inside the package, which is because this is not a really demanded figure. McDonald's 90s Spider-Man. Spider-Man has done a lot of collaborations with fast food chains. However, the most valuable toys from these collaborations are the McDonald's and Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s, because it's the oldest. If you want one of these figures, it will be fairly cheap, because even if they're old, they were mass produced and there's no shortage of them. One of these figures should cost you around $20 or less, maybe a bit more if they are inside their package, but as I said, there's no shortage of them. Cereal Collectibles. Spider-Man also has a few collaborations with cereals. Most of them came with toys and other stuff. They are fairly cheap as well, because they are really common. If you want one of them, you shouldn't pay more than $10. Titan Hero. I feel like I should mention these figures because I see them everywhere. Titan Hero is a line of figures that are really affordable. I have to mention that considering their price, they are fairly detailed. You can buy any of these figures in almost every store for around $10. Hot Toys. You probably already know of this. Hot Toys is a company from Hong Kong that specializes on making the highest quality collectibles. They have been making Spider-Man figures for quite a while now. Since the third Spider-Man movie, The standard price for one of these figures is around $200. However, those are the cheapest and the price is only going up from there. Custom figures. A lot of people out there customize their own figures. A lot of time is for personal use, but there is quite a lot of people that actually sell them. You can find really well made figures to whatever this is. If you find someone that customizes figures, usually the starting price of any custom figure is $100. Tier 2. The tip of the iceberg. Bootleg figures. Bootleg figures are toys that are usually extremely cheap and really poor made, but still they have a certain charm, like this toilet Spider-Man. The difference between bootleg and custom is that custom figures are usually made by one person, and the bootleg figures are mass produced and unlicensed. These figures should cost you around $10 if you want any of them. As I said, they are not really expensive. 18-inch Spider-Man 2. In 2004, Spider-Man had a lot of figures because of the release of the movie Spider-Man 2. Amongst the most coveted figures, it was the 18-inch Spider-Man action figure, with 67 points of articulation. I don't have that many joints myself. I have this figure as well and it's incredible. A must-have if you are a Spider-Man fan. If you want this figure these days, it will cost you around $600. Inside its package, used, it will cost you way less, around $30. Stealth Ninja Spider-Man. Another figure that is considered a meme, because it looks that they had a bunch of body parts and just glue it together to make a quick figure. If you want this figure, it should be around $20 even inside its package. Zombie Spider-Man. The Marvel Select Zombie Spider-Man is another classic made by Diamond Select. If you want this figure, it should be around $150. New and used, it should be around $30. I thought that it would be more expensive. Secret Wars Spider-Man. When the Secret Wars comic was released, it also was released with a line of figures. The Spider-Man figure isn't worth much without its package. However, a figure inside its box will cost you around $250. Raimi-verse Sinister Six. When Spider-Man 3 was released, it was a massive success, so they released figures of everything related to Spider-Man, even if it wasn't in the movies. So, you could potentially make the Raimi-verse version of the Sinister Six, with the figures that Hasbro released. The thing is that most of these figures have the same designs that these characters have in the games, also based in the movies. Mysterio has the same design than in the Spider-Man 2 game, Rhino and Shocker as well. Kraven and Scorpion have the same design that they have in Spider-Man 3, the movie game. Thanks to Gigantis for sharing this cool detail. If you want to know their worth, maybe around $40. All of them were mass produced. Spider-Man and Friends. Spider-Man and his amazing friends? Poof. Only the real OGs remember the one and only Spider-Man and Friends. It was a toy line that had a lot of figures of mainly Spider-Man and other Marvel characters. It had a unique style and it looks great even by today's standards. If you want any of these figures, these days their worth is around $70 and $100. Tier 3. Below the surface. Toy Biz Spider-Hulk. Another must-have if you're a Spider-Man fan. This figure was released in 2006, and it was made by Toy Biz. It's the Spider-Hulk version of Spider-Man from the comic Web of Spider-Man. If you want this figure used, it will cost you around $100, and new, it will be around $250. Spider-Man 2 Superposable. Another classic that you must have, the Superposable Spider-Man figure from the movie Spider-Man 2. This one is around 8 inches tall and has 46 points of articulation. If you want this figure these days, it will cost you around $100 used and $150 new. SP Hero Spider-Man. Speed Hero Spider-Man is an interactive toy that you can play with. It was released along with Spider-Man Homecoming. It didn't sell much and it looks like they made a lot of them, so its price went down almost instantly. You can find it around $100 regardless if it's new or not. It's an interesting collectible. SPI Duck. iDuck was a series of MP3 players shaped like a duck. They had unique songs and interactions, so you could play with them while you were not using them as MP3 players. However, they did a collaboration with Spider-Man when the third movie was released, and this is the coolest thing ever. If you want it, it should be around $130. Wowie Spider-Man. Wowie is a company that makes robots. One of their most popular toys is the Robo Sapiens. They did a collaboration with Spider-Man again when the third movie was released, and this robot is awesome. There are two versions, one is 7 inches and the other one is 14. If you want the 7 inches one, it should be around $40, and the 14 inches one should be around $120. Marvel selects The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit might be the most beloved suit by Spider-Man fans, and there's no better action figure for this than the Marvel Select The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This one looks like it came straight out of the movie. There are two versions of this figure, a basic one and a deluxe version that comes with more accessories. If you want that one, you should have to pay around $150. Marvel Legends Spider-Man 2099. It's kinda sad that despite being one of the most popular versions of Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099 doesn't have much representation, but at least it has a great figure. When the Pizza Spidey was released, they also released this figure of Spider-Man 2099, and it is amazing. This figure is worth around $150. Tier 4. The bottom of the iceberg. Adventure Hero Toy Biz. Toy Biz released a lot of figures for the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, but the most peculiar ones are the Adventure Hero line. You want a lifeguard Spider-Man? Do you want an astronaut Spider-Man? How about a football player? A ninja Spider-Man? What if Spider-Man break bad? There are many of these, one for each situation. Maybe they're not all documented. It is kinda funny how far they went with this. Most of them are worth around $100. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 Funko Pop. When The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was released, it also came with the Funko Pop line, but for some reason they didn't release much of these Funkos, so this is one of the most rare Spider-Man Funkos. If for some reason you want it, it will cost you around $130. Strange Transformations. In the 90s, Toy Biz released a set of two figures. One was the Cosmic Spider-Man and the other was a figure of Spider-Man covered in half by the symbiote. The thing that makes this one special is that it was a limited edition sold only on Faux Schwarz, a toy store. If you want it these days, it will cost you around $100. The Spectacular Spider-Man figures. The Spectacular Spider-Man is probably the best Spider-Man cartoon ever, and it also has a toy line made by Hasbro. For some reason there's not a lot of them, so they're kinda expensive. If you want one of them, it should be around $120. Raimi's Spider-Man Lego sets. The first two movies of the Raimi trilogy have Lego sets. Most of them are amazing, but with time they got expensive. Just a single figure can be worth around $200, and almost every set is around $400. Blockbuster life-size replica. Back in 2002, Blockbuster did a giveaway and they gave this Spider-Man statue. All you had to do is buy a copy of the first Spider-Man movie and you enter in the giveaway. If you want this life-size statue these days, it will be easier. You just need $1,200. Tier 5. Shallow Waters. New Goblin Hot Toys. Most of the Spider-Man Hot Toys figures aren't rare, because obviously they're going to make a lot of Spider-Man figures because he's a really demanded character. However, we can't say the same about this one. The Hot Toys New Goblin was a limited edition. If you want it, it will cost you around $500. Spider-Man vs. Grey Hulk. Sideshow's Collectibles is another brand that makes the highest quality collectibles for a fair price. One particular statue has a Spider-Man and Hulk fighting. That one goes for around $4,000. But there's a limited edition of that statue where Hulk is grey. If you want that one in particular, it will be around $9,000. Leopardon. If you know the Japanese Spider-Man, you're probably familiar with his trusty mecha, Leopardon. There are a few figures of it. If you want one, they're around $200. Spider-Man Classics Street Line. Toy Biz had a line named Spider-Man Classics, and it featured a lot of amazing figures. But by far the most expensive is this one, the Spider-Man Streetlight. It is one of the most coveted Spider-Man figures, because it's one of the few figures that is inspired on the art style of Todd McFarlane. If you want to put your hands on it, you just need $500. Mego Spider-Man. Mego is a toy company that has been operating for quite some time now. This Spider-Man figure is from the 70s. It is around 8 inches tall. Its package might vary, but its worth is almost the same, around $200. NECA Spider-Man Homecoming. NECA released a few Spider-Man figures, but by far the most expensive is a statue. This one is around 6 feet tall. It has the suit from Spider-Man Homecoming. If you want it, you'll need around $1,200. Tier 6. Dark Waters. 12-inch Mego Spider-Man. Remember the Mego Spider-Man? Well, 2 years later, they released an upgraded version and it was 12 inches tall and it had overall better quality. I don't know what was its price by then, but it can't be more expensive than nowadays, where you have to pay around $500. Sideshow Legendary Scale. The Sideshow Legendary Scale Spider-Man might be the most detailed Spider-Man statue up to date. It is 24 inches tall and the costume is made out of fabric. If you want to put your hands on it, you will need around $5,000. Funko Pop Metallic Spider-Man. The most rare Spider-Man Funko Pop. It was an exclusive of the Comic-Con 2011. This one is a metallic version of the standard Spider-Man Funko Pop. Only 480 pieces were made, which makes this Funko extremely rare. If you want it, you'll need around $5,000. 2013 San Diego Comic-Con Lego Spider-Man. Again, the most expensive Spider-Man figure is the tiniest, the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con Lego Spider-Man. What makes this Lego figure even more special is that it depicts the suit from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which might be one of the factors that raises its worth, because we don't have another Lego figure of that suit other than this one. Be ready, if you want it, taking into account that you need to find one for sale in the first place, you'll need around $11,000, and its worth is still rising. Lego Spider-Man Set 1375. This one is not a figure that you can buy. This might count as lost media. In 2002, Lego released sets of the first Spider-Man movie, but one in particular was cancelled because it was too violent. A Lego set inspired in the wrestling scene. This Lego set was never released, but for some reason, some people sell the Lego figure of the Human Spider. It is around $300. Some people claim to have the set, and it is not entirely unbelievable, but we should take it with a grain of salt. Now, supposing that this was real and someone will sell it, its worth might be even higher than anything that I show you so far. Well, you stayed until the end, and before you leave I want to give a shout out to some of you. A shout out to Tofu Stack, Skippy, Andrew Rojas, Alexander Heidelberg, Meghna Rajput, 0007, Choco, Electro Unofficial, Artin Eskandari, and Zips. If you want a shoutout in my next video, give me a like, be sure to click the subscribe button, and I will give a shoutout to the first 10 subscribers that leave in the comments which figure they would like to have the most. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye!